This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
are you nuts?
It's time for another edition of Mase in Your Face.
Are you nuts?
Now, along with college football immortality, Glen Mason.
Then I sprayed Mase in his face.
Barrero.
Jack's Cafe brings Mase in your face to each and every one of you. He is not in our studio. He is in his, I guess, now permanent studio located in Fargo. Is that pretty much, are we getting close to a permanent residence, you think?
Well, I wouldn't say permanent, but I know a lot of folk around here now. I come in, we have a good time, and very nice people here. We have a good time chatting, and they all want me to give the inside scoop on Dan Barrero. They like Guardsy.
Not so much me. Yeah.
Sure.
Little skeptical on me. Well, yeah, join the club.
You know, I always stick up for you.
Yeah, I have no doubt of that. I wish I had some of that tape to prove the point. I want to actually start with the Gophers this week. I thought it was a highly entertaining game against Rutgers. Down 14-0 early. It looks like it's coming apart at the seams. Rutgers looks like clinical offensively. And ultimately, the Gophers come back and win it in a tight one, scoring the last score of the game to make it 31-28. And I was especially, Mase, impressed with Drake Lindsey. You're playing the former Gopher quarterback. You got some heat there, right? And I thought Lindsey, 3 touchdowns, threw for 324 yards. I thought he looked very much up to the part.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed. I didn't see the whole game. Been a little busy on a variety of things, but every time I've seen him, very impressed with him. And all my Gopher friends, which is quite unusual, I've not heard one guy say one negative thing about him. The only thing they'll ever say is if the offensive line will do their job and give him time, the way he throws the ball, they can move the ball on anybody.
Yeah. Well, to your point, I mean, they had almost no running game. And in the second half, it looked very much like, in uncharacteristic fashion, the head coach said through the coordinator, Drake, we're putting this game in your hands, man. Throw as much as you want, throw as often as you want, and try to make it happen. And that's ultimately what they did. And that's something different that, under this regime, there have been stretches where if they could not run the ball, they simply could not win because they did not have enough of an established passing game.
Well, you and I have been around the block a few times in this thing. You kind of got a negative view on PJ that he doesn't want to, throw the ball. And every time that we've talked about that, I said, PJ is a good coach. You do what you have to do to give you a chance to win. And he gets to see their passing attack and the quarterback and everything that goes into it all week long. He studies it, not all week long, but from spring practice on. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the confidence that that's the best thing you do, well, then you're not going to do it. Maybe the difference is now it's not he's changed his view on does he want to throw the ball or not. He's got the confidence in Drake Lindsey and what they're doing offensively gives them the best chance to win.
The second straight quarterback in which that has changed. That whole revolution seemed to begin with Brosmer. And now it is continued clearly with Drake Lindsey. There was a key play. I don't know if you saw this lowlight or highlight. Guardsy can speak to this as well. Rutgers is driving for what looks to be, at the very least, a chance at a game-tying field goal to send it into OT, or maybe, if they get aggressive, a touchdown to win the game. And was it the third down play or the second down play? The QB, Callie McManus, is in the shotgun, and it's the proverbial... He's not ready for the snap. The ball's a little bit low. Bounces behind him. What'd they lose on that play, Guardsy? 15 yards?
Yeah, it went to 3rd and 25.
Yeah, I mean, a complete... So explain to me, Mr. Head Coach, How does that miscommunication happen? Does the center think he's heard what he needs to hear to hike the ball, and the quarterback didn't intend that? How does that? Because that was a huge play under the circumstances, forcing Rutgers ultimately to try a 50-plus yard field goal when they were already in position to at least give themselves a chance to tie with a more makeable one.
Well, first and foremost, and it used to be just about every offense in college and pro used to put the quarterback right under center. The old T formation. Yes. And the reason they did that is that you should be about 99.9% effective on snapping the ball and getting it from the center's hand to the quarterback's hand without a problem. As you move back, and even though people are very good at it right now, when you go to the shotgun snap, it adds a little bit more where something could go wrong. Now, I'm not really sure if Rutgers is one of those teams that use a silent count and they just, like so many people, they just snap their hands, slap their hands together. I'm not sure how that works. That came after my tenure of being a college coach. But more often than not, if the quarterback doesn't see the ball coming, and that's kind of what you're indicating to me, I would have to guess that the center snapped the ball early. He thought he got the clap. He thought he heard a sound or whatever. He snapped the ball. The quarterback isn't ready. And I guess if you're really doing a good job, even though that you're in the formation, a shotgun formation, you'd probably coach the quarterback of never take your eye off the ball, like in so many other sports, But, they're checking this. Is the blitz coming? Did the guy go in motion? All that stuff. And it gets a little bit more complicated. But I have to think that the center, to answer your question, the center probably snapped the ball early.
Callie McManus was on a roll early. And, in fact, I think one of the touchdown throws of his, if I'm not mistaken, he ended up in the end zone closest to the Gopher student section. And he did the proverbial, can't hear you, like cupped his ear to kind of, maybe make a point. And from that point forward, he was very up and down. I'm not saying those are related, but I thought at that moment of you, because I'm thinking, okay, let me ask Mase next time we have him on, what was the Mase philosophy and approach with his players when it came to individual expressions like that? Now, for all I know, Callie McManus was doing it because he'd been razzed earlier by some fans, and he said, okay, bleep you, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to celebrate a little bit. But what was your rule of thumb? What was your position with your players about that sort of, I won't necessarily, you're not taunting another player on the field, but you are getting into it with fans. Were you okay with that? You say that's part of the deal? You got to let players express themselves, or did it bug you?
No, it bugged me. I didn't think that was any part of the game. I always wanted them to stay focused. And again, I was a different day and age. Along with that, Dan, I was coaching the referees, the conference, and really college football, NCAA. They had adopted a zero tolerance for excessive celebration. That's what the term. And if you would have done something like that, you'd have got the flag, excessive celebration. If you remember, you could do nothing more than just drop the ball in the end zone or turn around and give it to the official, or maybe just group up with your other players on a touchdown on your own team and jump around for a second. Anything else, if you spike the ball, excessive celebration. If you did that spinning the ball, excessive celebration. So I don't know what's changed, but you look at it right now, there is no excessive celebration penalties. What used to really, and really still bugs me, I don't care at what level, is that, and I see it a lot in pro football, some team will be getting beat by 30 points, and it's the fourth quarter, and the team that's losing, the defensive lineman will make a sack, and he'll have to run 15 yards out the midfield and do a dance. Son, you're getting beat. Who are you kidding? It's like I got to get out in front of everybody and say, it's me. I did something. My cry for attention, I find it despicable.
All right, let's do this. Let's stay on schedule today. We're going to get a pause in here. We're going to try to put bonus bucks in one of our listeners' hands. We got a lot more ground to cover with Mase in your face. Dateline Fargo yet again. Guardsy, what do we got?
Fan and 2 men and a junk truck. Want to give you a shot at bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. 4 o'clock keyword is check. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword check.
Fan.
You can join Nordo's Sunday morning Gray's Food Hall, Minneapolis, for kegs and eggs, where I was this past Sunday. It's awesome. You can start stopping by at 8:30 to catch the purple as they take on Cleveland from London. Great food, your shot to win awesome prizes every quarter. Go hang with Nordo at Gray's. Details are KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
So what do we do with James Franklin? Penn State loses yet again in dramatic fashion, right? OT, to the Oregon Ducks. The record is fairly well known. Certainly at Penn State, it's extremely well known. Penn State has lost 15 consecutive games under Franklin against AP top 25 teams. He's 2-21 overall in those games. So, I mean, you've been in this business. What do you make of that? It's hard to believe it's coincidence that it keeps happening. And yet, I mean, no one, I think, would doubt that James Franklin knows how to coach. So what do you make of that whole deal and what happened to them over the weekend again?
Well, wait a minute now. Does how to coach compared to what? You know, I've always thought, you talk about the National Football Coaches Hall of Fame,
yes,
which they, and I think to be eligible there, you have to win 60% of your games, which is okay. Well, most of these guys come from schools. If you don't win 60% of your games, are you kidding me? You'll be hung in effigy, and just because you win 60% of your games there doesn't mean you're a great coach. And you talked about James Franklin, to prove a point. I don't know the exact record, but, he's been there a long time, and he's, I think, arguably at a top 10 school. Would you agree with that?
No question. Yes.
They got a lot of built-in advantages.
Resources, yep.
And at the end of the day, he's coached long enough. When he's all said and done, he's going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. And why? I think I think his record, I might be wrong, but against top 10 schools, which he's a top 10 school, his record is 4-21. Against everybody else, it's 132. So is he a Hall of Fame coach because he's beaten everybody that that he should beat? That he's got all the built-in advantages? I think and that's not the only school, and he's not the only coach that would apply to. But let's face it, he's been there a long time at a school that's got a lot of built-in advantages. And to make a big splash, he has not. And it's not only those schools. You look at his record against, Ohio State, and he'll have to play him again this year. He had a big victory one time. Ohio State lined up to kick a field goal to win the game and got it blocked. Otherwise, it'd even be worse. But I think that the Nittany Lion faithful are getting restless. I saw where the student body, and we've all seen this happen before, they started chanting, "Fire Franklin."
Yeah.
Now, is he the only problem? Is Penn State different now that Joe Paterno isn't there and he was there for so long? Maybe there's some other factors that are involved. But right now, he is not meeting the mark what everybody would expect out of Penn State. So,
again, you've laid out the advantages they have there. It can't be because of the Johnnies and Joes. So it's got to be either X's and O's or it's got to be the men. I don't know. You tell me. The other side of being a head coach, to mentally and physically prepare your team. You tell me. I mean, how do we explain it?
Well, I'm not sure I do have an explanation. I'm just looking at the results. I'm not there every day. I don't see it. If you were on the inside looking out rather than the outside looking in, you'd have a better explanation. All I'm saying is that the final result, the scoreboard that's out there, he comes close, but there's no cigar. And, sooner or later, that really catches up to you. I think it's catching up to him right now.
I buried the lead as long as I can because I didn't want to be accused of being an Indiana University cheerleader and starting the show with IU talk here in the upper Midwest. But my God, Mase, I can't hold off any longer. They get it done again. Difficult place on the road, not really playing their best football. So what do you have to say about my Hoosiers going to Iowa City and finding a way to win?
Well, you should be ashamed of yourself that you didn't make that the lead story. I think it's one of the great lead stories in that and Vanderbilt right now.
Yeah.
Are the great lead stories in college football. You know, as Dizzy Dean said a long time ago, if you've done it, it ain't bragging. Well, they're doing it. I mean, everybody thought, me included, I was surprised at what happened last year. And I thought, well, it might have been a one-off. Well, I know it's still early in the season, man, but they're backing it up. They're impressive. And this quarterback that they have, Mendoza, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
I mean, let me tell you, the way he's performing right now, if he was playing for Alabama or Ohio State or one of those blue blood schools, everybody would say, oh, it's over. Heisman Trophy is his. Now, he's being mentioned in the conversation, but he is the conversation. They are a darn good football team. And, you know, Cignetti is not the most likable guy. He comes across as very egotistical.
Yes.
If you remember when he got the job and they said, why do you think they can turn this program around? He said, I win. Google me. Everybody said, oh, yeah, you're at Indiana. Well, right now, no one's making fun of him. He's doing a heck of a job.
Garzi told me not to worry about this, but I still have a legitimate concern that sooner or later, somebody's going to come along. I know they just gave him a bucket load of money and allegedly they extended and all that. But you know how this business works, Mase? Isn't somebody going to come along at maybe more of a blue blood place where they're going to make him an offer, or a place that at least used to be a blue blood that wants to get back to it, and they're going to make him an offer that he can't refuse?
Well, I think the offer that they refuse, a lot of coaches, they can't refuse. To my point before, it's a lot easier to win in some places than other places.
Yeah.
You already talked about, here we're having a conversation about James Franklin in Penn State. Well, you know, he didn't beat the big guys, but he's beating everybody else. You know, you look at the percentage of what he's winning right there. And at Indiana, he's doing a fabulous job, Coach Cignetti down there. But he's got to think, how long can I keep this going like that? Because still at the end of the day, I'm going to be doing more with less in every way, shape, and form than, let's say, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Alabama, Texas, and the list goes long. And Indiana is not in that conversation.
It is fair to say, is it not, that the advantage of staying at a place such as Indiana is he will always be worshipped there, right? I mean, if they go into the tank, you know, things can change. I get all of that, but it's a place where Indiana, of course, is rarely won in football. And so there, he's going to always be treated like a king. You go to some of those other places, and if you struggle a bit, as you know, the honeymoon can end pretty quickly. There, he's got nothing to worry about, right? I mean, that could be his lifetime deal.
Well, hopefully it would be. But, you know, I said this before. A long time ago when I first got in coaching, someone that was a very seasoned national coach, I heard him speaking at a convention. He said, fellas, he said, let me give you a little tip. If you're a major college football coach and the AD that hired you leaves, you got a problem.
Right.
If the president that hires you leaves, you got a problem. If they both leave, you don't have a chance. Because if you're there long, sooner or later, you're going to hit a little downturn.
Right.
And people get restless, and they'll want to change. And if someone's not there to have your back, and a lot of times if it's new people, they get everybody off their back by making a change, which is, to my point, I'm just, you know, you always ask me what I got to get off my chest. How about our boy Rocco getting fired? Okay? And the only thing I'm going to say is this. I really don't know that much about baseball, but this. I go to the dog park every morning, and I got a couple people down there. Man, they are Twins fans. They live and die. Most notably, Carol. and John. And, I always kid them about because every morning they'll say, oh, we won or they lost, that mentality. But when the Twins got rid of all those players a few weeks ago, they were depressed. What are they doing? It's like a fire sale. Even the national people were saying that. Well, it goes right into what I'm saying. How many times have you guys heard me say that in athletics, there's only two things? There's results and there's hope. And I promise you there's a lot more hope out there than results, because when people get to the position where they're not achieving what they want, rather than sitting down and figuring out what they have to do really hard, what the things that they have to change, they take the easy way and they fire somebody and they buy new hope. And then they fire a new coach, they fire a new manager, and we're going to the World Series because we got a new guy. And then about 4, 5, 6 years down the road, they're doing the same thing. Look at the trend. It happens over and over and over again.
A couple texts. Dan, I hope you enjoy the IU 2-year blip. Signetti will be in Gainesville next year. Wow, trying to get me going. And here's another one. As a mid-90s Ohio State alum, Franklin is Penn State's John Cooper. That's a name that's familiar to you, is it not, John Cooper?
Well,
is that a good analogy, do you think?
He couldn't beat Michigan. That's what he couldn't do. Right. I think he beat Michigan one time. But that's to my point that the guy John Cooper, he won a lot of games at Ohio State. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. But he couldn't beat Michigan. Well, if you're at Ohio State, you can't beat Michigan. Are you really a Hall of Fame coach? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say actually you've answered your own question on that for sure. Gophers are playing Ohio State this week, you may know. I think the spread's like 22, 23 points. It's considerable. And they tell me it's been a while since the Gophers knocked off Ohio State. Do you have any recollection of when the last time that might have been?
Yeah, I do, but I don't remember who the coach was, but I remember they beat him.
I don't have any recollection of the coach, that's for sure.
Had to be Brew.
Was it Basement Brew?
I think it was Brew.
Yeah.
It might have been maybe it was Wacker.
I know this. The time that it happened before that time in Columbus was 1949.
1949?
1949, prior to that win in Columbus, last time the Gophers won there was 1949. And the guy that told me that was Ray Christensen.
Yeah.
And, when I went to Ray's funeral, one of his children grabbed me and said that his dad used to talk about that all the time. And he said he never thought he'd ever be calling a Gopher radio game in Columbus with the Gophers winning.
25 years ago, you knocked off Ohio State and John Cooper. I was at that game. I remember it very well. You were very bitter about the headline in the Star Tribune the next day. It was either on Sunday or Monday about smelling the roses. Yeah. You were very unhappy about that. I don't know. All we were trying to do was celebrate the moment, and you got very huffy about it.
Well, you know why? Because you're celebrating the moment, which is fine, but I had to deal with a bunch of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, and everybody.
That's your job. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
These four walls.
But it makes your job tougher. That's my point.
Well, obviously did. You lost to my Hoosiers the next week.
I knew you had to bring that up.
Well, no, it's just factual. I'm not. I said you brought it up before.
I got to tell you a funny story about that game, though.
Okay.
Going in there, and I remember talking to the team, I want to say on Thursday before we made the trip, and I said, hey, it's a hostile environment. And I said, it's all scarlet and gray, and it's unbelievable. But I said, they're very loud, and we'll deal with that. But just remember, if we're playing well, I said, it'll get quiet. If we play real well, they'll start to boo. And toward the end of the game, one of the players came up and grabbed me, and he said, Coach, we're playing great. I said, what do you say that? He said, they're leaving. And I'll never forget the guy saying that.
Yeah. What was it? Was it 27-16? What was it? Guardsy, double check the final.
I think that's right.
Either 29-16 or 27-16.
27-16.
It was pretty thorough, as I recall.
Got off to a great start.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another story. Travis Cole was our quarterback.
Yes.
Remember things you remember. Well, then laying in the hotel sleeping the night before the game, and my phone rings, and it's the front desk because I didn't let players get any calls. And the lady at the desk says, we have an emergency call from Mrs. Cole. She wants to talk to her son. I said, oh, my God, emergency call. So I said, put it through to me. So I got on Mrs. Cole, what's up? She goes, oh, nothing. I just want to wish Travis good luck. I said, well, he's already sleeping. He can't take any calls. It's, don't worry. Just relax. I got to talk. Just relax. I said, I will convey the message to him that you called to say good luck. She said, you promise? I said, absolutely. Well, the next day he played awfully well. And after the game, we're on the airplane on the way back. I got up, I walked back and I said, hey, Travis, I forgot to tell you, your mom called. She said, good luck. So anyway,
Mase in your face.
I promise.
You did. It took you a while. It was delayed, but you did do that.
And Ron Johnson had a banner day as a wide receiver. He really did.
In fact, we'll look up. I'm going to look up his number.
29-17 was the score.
29-17. Okay, I was in the ballpark then. Well, in all seriousness, when you look back on that, given your history there, I mean, does that rank at the University of Minnesota at least? That's got to be your number one victory, does it not? Going back home and knocking them off?
No, it wasn't really. The one that sticks in my mind really more than anything, my first year we played in Happy Valley against Penn State.
Oh, okay.
They were number one in the country. And we had no business the way we were playing. And we played our tails off, and we absolutely got railroaded by a bad official call at the end of the game. Plus, we fumbled the ball on a 3rd and 3. But really, if we don't get that official call, a pass interference, of which, it's not me's just saying that. It happened. Long discussion, and they finally said it was pass interference, gave them the ball, they went in school. Now, side story, Coach Rule of Nebraska, when I had his first game against, when he was a head coach, he was facing Penn State, and I was doing their game for the Big Ten Network. He was there, and he said, you don't remember me. He said, but in 1997, I was a walk-on player, and I was on the sideline for Penn State. And that call that cost you the game right there, I was right there. That's as bad a call as I've ever seen in football. So anyway, 2 years later, we went back there to play Penn State, and they were number 2 in the country, and we upset them. And that game, I think, solidified the belief by the players that we could win at Minnesota, and maybe solidified my belief too. And so to me, that game sticks out more than anything.
October 14, 2000 is when you upset, at the time, the 5th ranked Buckeyes. And to your point, Ron Johnson, 8 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. Tellus Redmond rushed for 118 yards and a touchdown as well.
Yeah. The other thing I remember about that, you remember we had a wide receiver, Jermaine Mase?
Yes.
And during the game, Jermaine comes up and he grabs me and he says, Coach, call the punt block. I guarantee I can block it. I said, you can guarantee it? I said, I guarantee it. We called it. He blocked the punt. He just knew he could beat the guy.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Here's the quote from you.
25 years? Really? 25
years? It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I don't look that old, do I?
No, you kidding me?
No.
You're the Golden Bachelor.
Ron Johnson doesn't either.
Yeah.
I was giving him crap about it yesterday, talking about it. He still looks like that guy.
Here's the Mase quote after the game. It's almost unbelievable. After the game, they said, Coach, you're on top of the Big Ten. I don't know if we can handle that. I mean, we are what we are. This program is not turned around yet, you added, but we are getting better. I get it. I get the bit. You understate it. That's the right approach by the head coach. Meanwhile, John Cooper. Obviously, we weren't ready to play, and you can blame me for that. I'm the head coach. I guess it's my job to get them ready to play. Did you run up the score in that game? I can't remember.
I was just trying to win. That's all I was trying to do. Run up the score.
Yeah. Travis Cole, 16 for 28, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yep.
And his worst throw was Ron's second touchdown. Where you remember Ron flipped it around?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
My college, this is great, but my college roommate, who lived in Arizona, he's passed away now. But anyway, he traveled to the game with us for the game. And before the game, he comes up to me and he says, I have a sideline pass. He says, you're my buddy. I want you more successful than anything. And, I'm rooting for you. He said, but, I'm an Ohio State guy, and I really shouldn't be standing on your sideline. I got a sideline pass. I shouldn't be standing on the sideline because I know a lot of Ohio State people, I don't want them to call me disloyal. And I said, Bob, I don't care where you stand, okay? Well, anyway, so I'm watching during the game. He's on the other sideline, okay, standing next to John Cooper, Well, coming down to the waning moments of the game, okay, we're going to win. Guess who's standing right next to it with his arm around
What
me?
a fraud.
Old Bob. You talk about a front runner.
You can't make that up. You scored on your first 5 possessions in that game. You were up 23-10 at the half. And sure enough, here's B.J. Sander punts. Jermaine Mase comes in untouched, smothers the ball on Sanders' foot. Jimmy Henry returns the ball to the Ohio State 20-yard line. Johnson had a 55-yard reception to set up his own 3-yard TD catch for a 17-3 lead. That was not close. And that was, by the way, you probably remember this, Ohio State's homecoming game.
Oh.
They scheduled that. Yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
They thought you were a patsy for them.
I tell you something. When I was first at Minnesota, we played in more homecoming games. We didn't take a bus. We took a float to the game. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's pretty close to being true.
Let me. You bring up some of those names, which are great. It seems like yesterday, and just this past week, I got a call from a former player, Yuki Dozier. Remember, Yuki played defense.
Sure.
And just a really good player, but an outstanding kid, And you like to hear from him and catch up from what he's doing, and he's in the Twin Cities, real successful. But I'll tell you what makes me feel his son, Braden Dozier, high school senior, and he's getting recruited, and he's committed to play football at North Dakota State University. And being able to chat with him and know that some of the things that I'm critical now in college football that's been lost, everything's NIL and transfer portal, some of the things that were really important and inherent to the experience of college football that has gone by the wayside, a guy like Yuki Dozier took advantage of that opportunity to its fullest, and I'm really proud of him.
All-time, you want to hazard a guess on the all-time Gopher record in football against Ohio State?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Guardsy?
I think they've won 7 times.
Very well done.
I don't know how many Ohio State has, but the Gophers have won 7 times.
The Gophers have won 7 times. Ohio State has won 48 times. 7 and 48 lifetime.
How many times in Columbus?
The Gophers away record 2 and 25. So you have one of the two. Home record against Ohio State, Gophers are 5 and 23. The current losing streak is 13 in a row. Does that sound right? Did you play Ohio State last year? You didn't.
Not last year.
So yeah, if this I think is current. This is off the Gopher website.
That makes sense. Yeah.
13 straight.
81 is the last time the Gophers won in Minneapolis. Mike Hohensee, who you just brought up a couple of weeks ago. He was the QB for that.
That's true. Let's do this, Mase. Let's get a pause in, and we'll have a good amount of time to get into a couple of those other subjects. I have a quarterback protocol question I want to ask you, and if you have anything else from the weekend, either coming up or from last weekend, from a college football standpoint you want to get into, we'll have time to do that as well. Luigi is going to join us in studio, we think, starting at about 5 o'clock, and Johnny Athletic is scheduled to join about 5:30. More Mase when we come back.
Time now for the Vikings Report on The Fan, presented by Miller Lite. Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen joins Dan Barrero next. And
all right, one more segment with Mase in your face. Mase, quick question for you before we get to any other college football. Are you with us? You didn't doze off, did you? Okay, I was afraid you might have dozed off.
I'm not that old.
When is the last time you remember carrying on an earnest conversation with Lou Nanne?
Oh, boy. An earnest one or just a conversation?
Well, I guess maybe any. I don't know. How long has it been?
Well, because myself, like many, when you have a conversation with Louis, it's one way. You just kind of listen, and if you don't agree with him, he calls you a dumb something or other. But I love the guy. But I want to say probably 2 weeks I had a phone conversation with him.
Where are you now?
Where am I right now? I'm in Fargo.
Fargo. I got a friend up there that wants to board a dog. And do you know anybody that boards pets?
I do, yeah. Yeah. I can get a referral fee.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, you need to congratulate Mase. You need to congratulate Louis. He's just been inducted into yet another Hall of Fame.
Which one is this one?
Louis? Which one is this one?
The Minnesota Broadcast Hall of Fame.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's serious.
And if you broadcast for another 42 years, you could get it too.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Is Barrero in that thing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm in it, and I nominated him to get in this one.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
you better be nice to Dan.
That's right. Better.
What did they give you, Louis? I mean, they give you a free car or
No, it was
dinner?
Prestige.
It was a trip to Fargo.
That trip to Fargo.
That's
That
why I was coming
explains
up to
it.
see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like Fargo.
So do I. I like it a lot. I'm surprised you like it so much.
You like it more every day, apparently, Mase.
I do. I like it, but I'm gonna tell you, I've been a couple of weeks now. I've been talking. I've heard all about this stuff about this win up in Fargo. Let me tell you, it's back. It's here.
It did come back, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With adventure.
What brings you up there?
I'm checking some few things out. I got a friend up here.
A friend.
You're not.
That's as much information as he's given us publicly. Yeah, that's.
I was just wondering why I haven't seen you for such a long time.
Yeah. Louis,
Yeah.
I can't believe we said it was 25 years ago that we won in Columbus. 25 years. I can't believe it's that long ago. I got to check it out.
I remember. That's a long time ago. Were you working then?
Wow. Yeah, I was working.
You were the coach then, weren't you?
I was coaching, yeah.
God,
Yeah.
that goes
Some
by
people
quickly.
question
That's
coaching, but
something.
I was coaching.
You were coaching?
Yeah,
Were you coaching the next week in Bloomington?
I was.
By the way, where were you in 1981?
Well, I was on the sideline in Minneapolis when we got beat.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's what I thought. So you were running the offense then? What was your job? This is, to remind folks, in 81, the Gophers beat 18th ranked Ohio State 35-31, November 7 at Memorial Stadium in Minneapolis. Were you coordinator, offensive coordinator?
Yeah, sure was.
Well, you can't blame you. You scored 31. Sounds like the defense was the problem in that game.
Of course, absolutely.
Well, I like the. Didn't you beat Michigan in Michigan one year?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That was one of my favorites. My favorites. I know you lost against them once, but the one that you won there was
Well,
that was a big one.
You bring that up, but Gary Russell, our running back,
Yep.
took it 61 yards down the sideline.
Remember it well.
Great run.
Yep.
And then we kicked the field goal. We won the game.
Won the game.
Upset him. And then Gary Russell wasn't around the next year because he got dismissed, which is I don't want to. That was a travesty. It really was. That would be another whole show talking about that, but I won't do that.
I don't think you've ever told that story before.
Well, I'll tell us some other time.
Save that one. That's a good one. Let's save that one. By the way, the 81 game that the Gophers won at Memorial Stadium 35-31, that was the Guardsy was talking about, Mike Hohensee. His numbers for that game, he threw 30. He was 37 for 67 for 444 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah,
That's a day.
That's why I'm glad I'm wasn't the defensive coordinator. If you're the defensive coordinator at Ohio State with those numbers and Ohio State loses, you might find yourself hanging by the goalposts.
When is the last time that Mase, you and Louie have been in the same room? When's the last time you guys have hung out together? It's been a while?
We haven't been in the same state for a while. You kidding me?
Yeah, well, neither one of you spends any time in Minnesota anymore,
well, no,
apparently.
it wasn't Florida. It was
Florida, okay.
Either early May or late April.
Hey, Dan, I gotta tell you a story. This was a few years ago. Louie and I went out to dinner in Florida, and the bill came, and we split it, and we both threw our credit cards down there, and we signed the bill. I left a bigger tip than he did. And anyway,
you left the tip to Ben and Secretariat. That's the only tip you ever gave.
It must have been a couple weeks later. He calls me up and he says, "Hey, take your credit card out and look at the name on it." I took it out. It said Lou Nanne. And he had my credit card. And it's true, right, Louie? We went for a couple weeks using each other's credit cards.
How good is that?
No, hold on. Let me end it.
Right.
The reason why we went for a couple of weeks is I have a couple of credit cards. I didn't use mine anymore. This guy spent like a drunken sailor. I think he knew it was my credit card.
Typical.
Yeah, but let me just tell you, though, when I finally got my bill on my credit card, there was a couple of X-rated fills from hotels.
Yeah.
Nice in your face.
That's too good. By the way, I can mention this. Louie might be too modest to do so. It turns out you were asking what Louie got, for being inducted into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I do know this. I was told this by two different people. Apparently, Joel Maturi got Louie a brand new TV for making the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. What do you think, Mase?
It wasn't new. It was the one out of my office. Are you kidding me?
Might have been that one. You're right, because it was a smaller size. What was the diagonal on that?
Hey, Louie, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Barrero has committed to take Guardsy and myself to dinner at Jack's when I'm back in town, and he's picking up the tab. You got to go with us.
I will. I'd love to. In fact, I'll fly back for that.
The chances that you're both going to be in town anytime.
It better be like July or August.
What is this going to be? Yeah. Did I agree to that? I don't even remember agreeing.
Yes, you did.
I thought you made me agree to it, I think, was the way.
Whatever. You agreed to it.
We got to go pretty soon here, Mase. Any final words for Louie or on college football before we wrap up for this week?
No, I tell you, you know what? Louie, you're an American treasure. At the very least, a Minnesota treasure. Every place I go, people ask me, do I know Lou Nanne? And I go, absolutely. Half of them say, I feel sorry for you. But anyway, they all ask if I know you.
I thought you were going to say, can you get him to loan me some money?
I know that's impossible.
Right. I'm wondering which of you wants to take greater credit for the success of this show. Do we think Luigi or Mase bears greater responsibility over the decades for the success of this program? Because I know you guys think the show wouldn't exist without either one of you.
Well, we could argue that, but the only thing that is absolute, you're a distant third. So we'll just leave it at that.
Well, here's how I would argue, because I've had a front row seat.
Okay.
I think Louis obviously has been a more treasured guest longer.
Yeah.
But Mase gave you much more material from like 1996 to 2006 that you used for your show to develop your show.
Well,
whether he wanted to or not, Mase gave you a lot of material in red meat that he may still bring up from time to time. So I think they both had a big role.
That's very well
in the
stated.
success
That's
of the show in different ways.
Yeah, that might be the best answer. Mase, you okay with that? Can you live with that? You feel you are? Good.
Well, the real truth is how I had to urge him to take this show because he wasn't doing anything at the time. And I said, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. Go work with Dan. You'll enjoy this. Because, your relationship wasn't the closest. Before that.
The only person who despised me more than Mase was Mace's ex-wife.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Hey, that's it.
I can list a lot of other guys. I can tell you, rest his soul, but Denny Green could not stand you.
No,
if he saw you jogging down the road, that would have been the last jog you ever took.
That's sad but true. I can't even argue with that. Good to have you on, Mase. We'll maybe see you one of these months.
Yeah, I'll be back. Yeah,
eventually.
Louie, I miss you, buddy.
Well, you have to take your new lady girlfriend down to Florida. I'm looking forward to meeting her.
I'm going to do that so you can take us to dinner.
Again, as usual.
Even
I expect
better.
that.
That's it.
Done.
Thank you. Thanks, Mase. We'll talk next
See ya.
week. Dateline Fargo is this the third straight week for Mase?
Week 3, yeah.
Week 3, Fargo Studios. I give him credit. He's at least going to a studio, so the sound is good. We got plenty of Luigi yet to come here in the this hour. Johnny Athletic at the bottom of the hour as well. Are we going to try to do a top 5 at 5? Or why don't we just make it a little bit of top 5
That's
and
fine.
more on Luigi and his reaction, obviously, to the Kaprizov news yesterday. The fact that he was pretty much vindicated by how that deal ultimately came together. Although when I tried to give him that credit with Bill Guerin, Guerin was very grudging.
I heard that in my car.
Not being all that willing. But we'll talk about that, and we'll obviously talk about Louis' big night being inducted into the Minnesota Broadcasters Hall of Fame. All that is coming up next.